The recent capture of Minova by the M23 rebel group marks a turning point in the ongoing conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Minova, a bustling trading hub just 40 kilometers from Goma, the provincial capital, holds immense strategic importance. Its fall to the M23 has sent shockwaves through the region, raising fears of a full-fledged assault on Goma and further destabilization of Eastern DRC. The town's strategic location along key trade routes makes it a coveted prize for armed groups vying for control of Eastern DRC. Minova serves as a vital link between Goma, the main commercial center in the region, and the mineral-rich territories further south. By capturing Minova, the M23 has gained control of a crucial economic artery, allowing them to disrupt trade and potentially finance their operations. The fall of Minova is not an isolated incident, but part of a broader offensive by the M23, which has gained significant ground in recent months. This concerning development has displaced thousands of civilians, exacerbating an already dire humanitarian crisis. The international community must take notice and exert pressure on all parties involved to engage in meaningful dialogue and find a peaceful resolution to the conflict. The capture of Minova is a significant blow to the Congolese government and raises serious concerns about the potential for further violence and instability. The international community must act swiftly to address this escalating crisis and prevent further suffering in Eastern DRC. The M23's offensive has not been limited to Minova. In the weeks leading up to the capture of Minova, the rebels also seized control of two other strategic towns, Masisi and Lumbishi. These towns, each with its own unique significance, further solidify the M23's grip on the region and highlight the group's growing strength and ambition. Masisi, located approximately 80 kilometers north of Goma, is a town of significant agricultural importance. Known for its fertile land and livestock, Masisi serves as a breadbasket for the surrounding region. The town's capture not only disrupts vital food supplies, but also grants the M23 control over valuable resources, potentially fueling their insurgency. Lumbishi, situated in the Kalehe territory of South Kivu, is of particular strategic importance due to its proximity to lucrative mining areas. The region surrounding Lumbishi is rich in minerals, including gold and coltan, which are highly sought after on the international market. The M23's capture of Lumbishi grants them access to these valuable resources, providing them with a potential source of revenue to sustain their operations. The capture of Masisi and Lumbishi, coupled with the fall of Minova, demonstrates the M23's strategic prowess and their ability to conduct coordinated military operations. These territorial gains pose a significant challenge to the Congolese government and threaten to further destabilize the region. The recent surge in violence in Eastern DRC marks a worrying escalation of a long-running conflict that has plagued the region for decades. The M23, a rebel group with a history of human rights abuses, has been resurgent in recent years, capitalizing on the Congolese government's weakness and exploiting local tensions to further their own agenda. The group's origins can be traced back to 2012, when they first emerged as a mutiny within the Congolese army. After a brief period of dormancy, the M23 resurfaced in late 2021, launching a series of attacks that have displaced hundreds of thousands of civilians and created a humanitarian crisis of immense proportions. The reasons behind the M23's resurgence are complex and multifaceted. Some analysts point to the Congolese government's failure to fully implement a 2013 peace agreement that aimed to demobilize and reintegrate M23 fighters. Others highlight the role of neighboring Rwanda, which has been accused of supporting the M23, allegations that Rwanda vehemently denies. Regardless of the underlying causes, the consequences of this renewed violence are devastating for the civilian population of Eastern DRC. The fighting has uprooted families, destroyed livelihoods, and left communities living in constant fear. The escalating conflict in Eastern DRC has triggered a humanitarian catastrophe of immense proportions. Hundreds of thousands of people have been forced to flee their homes, seeking refuge in overcrowded and undersupplied displacement camps or in neighboring countries. The United Nations estimates that over 5.5 million people are internally displaced within the DRC, making it the largest internal displacement crisis in Africa. The humanitarian situation is particularly dire in North Kivu province, where the M23 has concentrated its offensive. The capture of key towns like Minova, Masisi and Lumbishi has cut off vital supply routes, making it increasingly difficult for aid organizations to reach those in need. The health system in Eastern DRC, already fragile before the recent escalation, is on the verge of collapse. Hospitals and health centers are overwhelmed with the influx of wounded civilians, while a shortage of essential medicines and medical supplies is putting lives at risk. The ongoing violence has also disrupted vaccination campaigns, raising fears of a resurgence of diseases like measles and cholera. The humanitarian crisis in Eastern DRC is a tragedy unfolding on a massive scale. The international community must act urgently to provide humanitarian assistance to those affected by the conflict and to address the root causes of the crisis to prevent further suffering. A failure to act now will have catastrophic consequences for the people of Eastern DRC